Picture a bustling coffee shop, alive with the hum of human connection or its modern facsimile. The air buzzes with the soft clatter of cups, the murmur of conversations, and the relentless glow of smartphone screens. Round a small table, a couple meticulously frames a selfie, chasing the perfect angle to broadcast their happiness to an unseen audience. Nearby, a group of friends trades gossip, their laughter a shield against the silence of their own thoughts. Others, solitary, but not alone, swipe through dating apps with a fervor that borders on desperation, as if their worth hinges on a match. Amid this restless symphony of seeking, one man sits apart. He is an island of calm, earbuds in, immersed in a philosophical audiobook that probes the mysteries of existence, while others numb their minds with the endless scroll of social media. He engages with ideas that challenge, elevate, and liberate. This man is not lonely. He is not desperate. He seeks nothing from the crowd around him, and in his quiet self-sufficiency, he becomes the most formidable presence in the room. Why does this solitary figure, so at ease in his own company, provoke unease in the world around him? Why does his ability to sit with his thoughts, free from the need for external validation, feel like a threat to the very fabric of society? To answer this, we must embark on a profound journey into the heart of solitude, guided by the timeless wisdom of philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Friedrich Nietzsche. Their insights, paired with modern psychological and cultural analysis, reveal why the self-sufficient individual is both a beacon of freedom and a challenge to the systems that thrive on our dependence. This exploration will not only reshape how you view solitude, but also empower you to reclaim your inner strength in a world that fears it. The grand illusion, society's war on solitudicity, feeds us a pervasive myth. To be alone is to be incomplete, defective, or broken. This narrative is woven into the very structure of our world. Advertisements promise fulfillment through products. Buy this car, wear this brand, consume this lifestyle, and you will be whole. Social media platforms, from Instagram to X, thrive on our fear of isolation, urging us to post, like, and comment to prove our relevance. Dating apps sell the dream of a soulmate who will complete us, while self-help gurus peddle the idea that happiness lies in community, connection, and belonging. The message is relentless. You are not enough on your own. You need others, friends, followers, partners, networks to validate your existence. But what if this is a carefully constructed lie, designed to keep us tethered to systems that profit from our need? Innes, what if the man in the coffee shop, content in his solitude, represents a truth so disruptive that society has branded him lonely, antisocial, or weird to neutralize his power? The reality is stark. Society doesn't fear those who cannot be alone. It fears those who choose solitude and thrive in it. The self-sufficient individual, who finds fulfillment within themselves, challenges the very foundations of a world built on dependency. They expose the fragility of systems, economic, social, political, and psychological, that rely on our insecurity to function. Their independence is a quiet rebellion, a refusal to play by rules designed to keep us wanting, seeking, and consuming. Consider the modern consumer culture. Every advertisement, from luxury watches to fast fashion, sells not just a product, but a promise. Buy this, and you will be seen, admired, complete. Social media amplifies this, turning validation into a currency measured in likes and followers. Dating apps exploit our fear of being alone, dangling the hope of connection as a cure for an imagined defect. Even our political systems thrive on collective conformity, encouraging us to align with popular opinion rather than think for ourselves. The solitary individual, however, opts out of this game. They don't need the latest gadget to feel worthy, the approval of strangers to feel seen, or the promise of a soulmate to feel whole. Their contentment is a direct challenge to a world that profits from our discontent. Philosophical foundations, the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Nietzsche understand the power of this solitary figure. We turned to philosophical giants who, centuries apart, uncovered the transformative potential of solitude. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor whose Stoic reflections shaped Western thought, and Friedrich Nietzsche, the provocative philosopher whose ideas ignited existential revolutions. Their lives and writings reveal why the ability to be alone is both a gift and a threat to the status quo. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the Roman Empire at its zenith, wielded power that most can only imagine. He could command legions, summon riches, and bend nations to his will. Yet, in the quiet of his evenings, he retreated not to opulent banquets or sycophantic courtiers, but to his private journal. There he penned reflections that would become *Meditations*, a timeless guidebook for self-mastery. All cruelty springs from weakness, he wrote, a profound insight born from solitude. Marcus understood that true strength lies not in dominating others, but in mastering oneself. His practice of solitary reflection, questioning his desires, fears, and actions, was a deliberate act of forging psychological resilience. In a world that demanded his attention, he chose to listen to his own mind, a choice that made him not only a great leader but also a dangerous one, immune to the flattery and manipulation that ensnared lesser men. Centuries later, Friedrich Nietzsche echoed this sentiment with a fierceness that shook the foundations of philosophy. The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. He declared in *, thus spoke Zarathustra *. Nietzsche saw solitude as a crucible for self-creation, a space where one could break free from the herd's conformity and forge their own values. He recognized that society's collective weight seeks to suppress independent thought, labeling the solitary as outcasts to maintain control. For Nietzsche, the person who dares to be alone with their thoughts is the one who dares to think for themselves, a radical act in a world that demands obedience. Both Marcus and Nietzsche uncovered a dangerous truth: solitude is the birthplace of freedom, and those who embrace it become untouchable by the systems that seek to control them. Consider the historical example of Socrates, another solitary thinker, who challenged the Athenian status quo by questioning the beliefs of his fellow citizens. He exposed the fragility of their unexamined assumptions. His insistence on thinking for himself, often in solitude, made him a threat to the city's power structures, ultimately leading to his trial and execution. Yet his legacy endures, a testament to the enduring power of independent thought born in solitude. The psychology of the dangerous loner sets the solitary individual apart. What happens in the mind of someone who chooses solitude over the clamor of social validation? Let's delve into the psychological traits that make such a person both powerful and threatening. First, they have shattered the chains of approval addiction. In a world where social media metrics, likes, retweets, followers dictate self-worth, the solitary individual finds validation within. They don't post to be seen or comment to be noticed. Their self-respect is rooted in an inner compass, not the fleeting applause of the crowd. This detachment from external validation is liberating but dangerous, as it renders them immune to the social pressures that keep others in line. Second, they have learned to embrace discomfort. Most people flee from silence, reaching for their phones the moment their thoughts turn inward. Why? Because silence reveals the raw truth of who we are, our fears, insecurities, and unresolved wounds. The average person avoids this confrontation, drowning it in distractions like Netflix, social media, or mindless chatter. But the dangerous loner leans into this discomfort. They have faced their inner demons, held unflinching conversations with their doubts, and wrestled with their failures. This process, though painful, forges an unshakable resilience. They emerge stronger, capable of navigating life's uncertainties without crumbling under pressure. Third, they are impervious to manipulation. When you don't need others for validation, you cannot be controlled by the threat of rejection. Promises of popularity, social status, or acceptance hold no sway over someone who has found peace within themselves. They cannot be bought with flattery, silenced by shame, or coerced by guilt. This immunity makes them unpredictable and uncontainable, a threat to systems that rely on compliance. Imagine a modern-day whistleblower, someone like Edward Snowden, who chooses to act on principle rather than conform to institutional pressures. Their solitude, whether physical or intellectual, allows them to see through the illusions of power and act with courage, even at great personal cost. Their independence makes them dangerous, not because they seek to harm, but because they refuse to be controlled. The Marcus Aurelius method, forging strength through solitude. Marcus Aurelius developed a practice that seems radical in our hyper-connected age, the discipline of solitary reflection. Each evening, he would retreat into himself, writing in his journal to examine his day. He asked probing questions. What desires drove me today that I didn't truly need? What fears held me back that were beyond my control? How did I compromise my values to seek approval? This wasn't mere journaling. It was a rigorous exercise in building psychological muscle, a way to cultivate self-awareness and resilience. This Marcus Aurelius method is a blueprint for modern self-mastery. By spending time alone with his thoughts, Marcus stripped away the illusions that dominate social life: flattery, status, and manipulation. He saw through the shallow games others played, recognizing their attempts to sway him as transparent and their social hierarchies as fleeting. When you know yourself deeply, your motivations, weaknesses, and aspiration, others' opinions lose their power. Their games become boring, their pressures ineffective. You become dangerous because you become free. Consider a modern application. A young professional navigating the corporate world. Instead of chasing promotions through networking or flattery, they adopt Marcus's practice of evening reflection. Each night, they journal about their day, asking, did I act with integrity? Did I seek approval at the expense of my values? What can I improve tomorrow? Over time, this practice builds an inner strength that allows them to focus on their work, not office politics. Their colleagues may call them aloof, but their results speak for themselves. They don't need the boss's praise to feel fulfilled, and that independence makes them a force to be reckoned with. The Nietzschean challenge, creating your own Nietzsche, took the idea of solitude further, arguing that the truly dangerous person is the one who creates their own values. Most of us live with inherited beliefs, moral codes, career aspiration, and lifestyles handed down by parents, peers, or culture. We accept these without question, living lives that are not truly our own. But the solitary individual dares to ask, why do I believe this? Who benefits from my conformity? What would I value if I started from scratch? This process of questioning is both liberating and dangerous. It disrupts the predictability that society craves. A person who forges their own moral code, grounded in reason and personal experience, cannot be easily swayed by shame, guilt, or social pressure. They don't buy what they're told to buy, vote how they're told to vote, or live how they're told to live. They are not good consumers, compliant citizens, or obedient followers. They are free thinkers, and that makes them a threat. Picture a young artist who rejects the societal pressure to pursue a stable career in finance or law. Instead, they spend time alone, reflecting on what truly matters to them: creativity, self-expression, impact. They build a life aligned with their own values, even if it means defying expectations or facing financial uncertainty. Their work, born from this solitary conviction, resonates with authenticity, inspiring others but unsettling those who cling to conventional paths. Their independence challenges the status quo, proving that another way is possible. Loneliness versus solitude, decoding the modern epidemic. To fully grasp the power of the solitary individual, we must untangle the concepts of loneliness and solitude, which society deliberately conflates. Loneliness is a state of lack, a gnawing sense of incompleteness that drives people to seek others to fill a void. It's a consumer's mindset, one that fuels purchases, subscriptions, and distractions to numb the pain of feeling inadequate. Solitude, by contrast, is a state of wholeness. It's the ability to find peace in your own company, to relish silence, to feel complete without external validation. Society blurs these states because it profits from loneliness. A lonely person is a perfect consumer. They buy products to feel better, chase trends to fit in, and stay distracted to avoid their inner emptiness. Social media platforms thrive on this, pushing us to post, like, and comment to prove our worth. Dating apps exploit our fear of being alone, dangling the hope of connection as a cure for an imagined defect. Even political campaigns prey on loneliness, rallying people around collective identities to mask individual insecurities. But the person who embraces solitude is different. They don't need to buy anything to feel complete. They don't seek validation through purchases or popularity. They are not distracted, they are thinking. and thinking people are dangerous to systems that rely on thoughtless compliance. Consider the example of a minimalist who rejects consumerism, finding joy in simplicity rather than possessions. They don't need the latest iPhone or designer clothes to feel fulfilled. Their contentment challenges the economic machine, making them a quiet but powerful threat. The 4 pillars of dangerous solitude are drawing from the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Nietzsche. We can distill 4 principles that define the dangerous power of solitude. 1. Radical self-honesty. The solitary individual confronts their motivations, fears, and desires with unflinching honesty. They don't lie to themselves to feel better. They face reality head-on. This clarity allows them to see through the lies and manipulations of others, making them immune to flattery or coercion. Value independence. They develop their own moral code, grounded in reason and personal experience, not tradition or social pressure. This doesn't mean they reject morality often. Their values are more principled than those of the crowd, but because their morality comes from within, they cannot be controlled by external shame or guilt. 3. Emotional self-sufficiency. They rely on themselves for emotional well-being, finding peace and strength within. They don't need others' approval, love, or acceptance to feel good about themselves. This emotional independence makes them impervious to manipulation through fear of rejection. For intellectual courage, they dare to question beliefs that others take for granted, following the evidence even when it leads to uncomfortable truths. This willingness to think independently makes them dangerous, as they cannot be silenced by social pressure or fear of ostracism. These pillars form a foundation of inner strength that allows the solitary individual to stand apart from the crowd, unswayed by its demands. They are like a lighthouse, steady amid the storm of societal expectations, guiding others toward a more authentic way of being. The high cost of freedom. Path of dangerous solitude is not without sacrifice. Society will push back, labeling you as antisocial, arrogant, or odd. Friends may drift away, threatened by your independence or unable to relate to your self-sufficiency. Family members may misinterpret your solitude as rejection, urging you to be more normal. You may feel isolated, not lonely, but isolated because you operate on a different level of consciousness. The world will exert subtle and overt pressure to pull you back into the herd, to make you conform to its rules. Yet the cost of conformity is far greater. To conform is to surrender your individuality, to live a life dictated by others' expectations. It's to trade your soul for the fleeting comfort of fitting. And the solitary individual pays the price of isolation to gain something far more valuable: freedom. They choose authenticity over acceptance, truth over comfort, self-mastery over external validation. Consider the story of Henry David Thoreau, who retreated to Walden Pond to live deliberately and simply. His solitude was not an escape, but a confrontation with himself and the world. Society called him eccentric, but his writings continue to inspire those who seek a life of purpose over conformity. His example reminds us that the path of solitude, though challenging, is a path to liberation. Why society fears the self-sufficient individual threatens society. On multiple levels: economic. Our economy thrives on people buying things they don't need to impress others or fill emotional voids. A content. Solitary person is a poor consumer. They don't chase trends or seek validation through purchases. They might choose a used book over a new gadget, a walk in nature over a luxury vacation. Social hierarchies rely on people caring about status and approval. When someone opts out of this game, they become unpredictable, undermining the structures that depend on conformity. They don't compete for titles or accolades, focusing instead on their own growth. Political systems of power, whether democratic or authoritarian, rely on influencing public opinion. A self-thinking individual is harder to sway with propaganda or groupthink, making them a wild card in the political landscape. They vote or choose not to based on reason, not peer pressure. Psychological. The independence of the solitary person highlights the dependency of others. Their contentment exposes others' discontent, and their freedom makes others' cages more visible, stirring unease. When you live authentically, you force others to confront their own compromises, becoming dangerously free. A practical guide: how can you cultivate this powerful form of solitude? Here is a detailed roadmap inspired by Marcus Aurelius and Nietzsche to become dangerously free. 1. Embrace silence. Start with small doses of distraction-free solitude. Spend 10 minutes alone with your thoughts. No phone, no music, no podcasts. Notice what arises: fear, boredom, inspiration, and sit with it. Gradually increase this time, learning to relish your own company. Try a solo walk in nature or a quiet evening with a notebook, letting your thoughts unfold without judgment. 2. Practice evening reflection. Adopt Marcus Aurelius's practice of nightly review. Each evening, journal about your day, asking, what did I do well? Where did I fall short? What desires or fears drove my actions? Did I seek approval at the expense of my values? This builds self-awareness and resilience, helping you identify patterns and align your actions with your principles. 3. Question your beliefs. Channel Nietzsche by examining your values. Write down your core beliefs about morality, success, relationships, and ask, why do I believe this? Is it rooted in reason or habit? Who benefits from my conformity? Build a moral code based on your own reasoning and experiences, not what society dictates. For example, if you've always believed success means a high-paying job, consider whether fulfillment might lie in creativity or service instead. 4. Find joy in solitude. Discover activities you love doing alone: reading, philosophy, painting, hiking, meditating. Build a rich inner life that doesn't depend on others' presence or approval. For instance, start a personal project like writing a novel or learning a new skill that engages your mind and brings you joy independent of external validation. 5. Let go of validation. Train yourself to stop seeking external approval. When you feel the urge to post on social media or seek praise, pause and ask, why do I need this? What am I trying to prove? Focus on your own sense of worth, rooted in your actions and values. Practice small acts of independence, like dining alone or attending an event without needing a companion, to build confidence in yourself. Sufficiency. 6. Cultivate resilience. Prepare for pushback. When others misunderstand your solitude, respond with compassion but firmness. Explain that your need for alone time is not rejection but self-care. Surround yourself with people who respect your independence, even if they don't fully understand it. Over time, you'll build a network of authentic connections that enhance, rather than define, your life. The paradox of solitude. A magnetic force. Here lies the beautiful irony of dangerous solitude. The person who doesn't need others becomes the most magnetic. When you are complete in yourself, free from neediness or desperation, you radiate a quiet confidence that draws others in. People are attracted to your strength, your authenticity, your freedom. They sense that you are not playing the games of status or approval, and that genuineness is rare and compelling. This independence transforms every aspect of your life. Relationships become healthier when you choose to be with someone because you want to, not because you need to. Imagine a romantic partnership where both individuals are whole, bringing their best selves to the connection without leaning on each other to fill voids. Such relationships are built on mutual respect, not dependency, and they thrive because they are chosen freely. Friendships deepen when they're based on genuine enjoyment, not obligation. Picture a friendship where you meet not to escape loneliness, but to share ideas, laughter, and growth. These connections are richer because they are optional, rooted in authentic appreciation rather than need. Work becomes more fulfilling when you focus on mastery rather than approval. Imagine an artist who creates not for gallery sales or critical acclaim, but for the joy of expression. Their work, born from inner conviction, resonates with a depth that captivates others, even if it defies trends. Life itself becomes more meaningful when you prioritize what truly matters to you. Unswayed by external noise, you pursue goals that align with your values, whether that's writing a book, volunteering in your community, or simply living with integrity. This clarity of purpose is the ultimate reward of solitude, a call to dangerous living. So here is the challenge: become dangerous, not in a way that harms others, but in a way that makes you impossible to control. Become someone who thinks for themselves, who creates their own values, who finds strength within. The world needs more people who are comfortable in their own Skin who don't crave constant validation, who can sit with their thoughts without needing to escape. It needs more people who are free. This path is not easy. It requires courage to face your inner truths, resilience to withstand societal pressure, and discipline to build a life of authenticity. But the rewards are profound. A life lived on your own terms, relationships rooted in choice rather than need, and a sense of purpose that no external force can shake. Take a moment to reflect. What is one belief you've carried without choosing it? Perhaps it's the idea that success means wealth, that happiness requires a partner, or that solitude is something to avoid. Examine it, question it, and decide whether it serves you. Then identify one area where you've sought validation instead of cultivating self-respect. Maybe it's posting on social media or seeking approval from a boss or friend. Take a small step toward letting go of that need, whether it's spending an evening alone or saying no to a social obligation that doesn't align with your values. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it, someone ready to question the status quo and embrace their own power in a world desperate for conformity. The most radical act is to stand alone. Embrace solitude, forge your own path, and stay dangerous. My friends,